Watch, Jason Chaffetz reveals the truth about Robert Mueller's investigation. All eyes are on Robert Mueller as he conducts his special investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Democrats would love for him to produce evidence discrediting Trump. And Mueller is looking more and more like a compromised leftist agent. Even the dimwits in Congress are starting to voice concern. Representative Jason Chaffetz is calling for Congress to act as a watchdog for the special counsel via Fox News. If Mueller's going to look into the president, he has to be kept in line. Chaffetz is the former chair of the House Oversight Committee, a position now held by Trey Gowdy. According to Chaffetz, Mueller's assignment doesn't give him unlimited authority. He has to act within the limits and must be carefully scrutinized by Congress. Just because you are special counsel doesn't mean you go unimpeded. There needs to be someone looking over the shoulders of the special prosecutor as well. That's absolutely right, especially with this special counsel. Robert Mueller is good friends with James Comey. There's a strong suspicion that James Comey leaked documents to the media to provoke a special counsel. A special counsel he knew would be his best pal. This is all as an act of revenge against President Trump. And what are they saying there? There's a strong suspicion. It's already known that James Comey leaked this information to get special counsel. He admitted to that himself. Then there's also the fact that the people Mueller has appointed to his special counsel team are die-hard Hillary Clinton supporters. How can Trump be treated fairly when the investigation body hates his guts? Chaffetz brings up these points, arguing that there should never have been a special counsel. That's where I'm going. After all, we know the Trump-Russia claims are bogus. Why waste time and money on a huge ball of nothing? My sentiments exactly. Additionally, there's the charge that Trump was involved in obstruction of justice, another falsehood. That's what Comey would have us believe. But how can justice be obstructed when nothing illegal was done to investigate in the first place? The entire fiasco is a witch hunt designed to tarnish President Trump's reputation. Chaffetz acknowledges this, which is why he calls the special counsel unnecessary. Now that it's underway, he says Congress must stay on top of Mueller to be sure he isn't using his new role to execute a personal vendetta against President Trump. Chaffetz also says Congress would be more efficient at combating the deep state if they could have an expedition of subpoenas. Right now, these have to come from the Department of Justice itself. That makes it harder to subpoena members of the DOJ or other federal agencies. For instance, the Obama DOJ protected IRS officials involved in targeting conservative organizations. Congress better keep a close eye on Mueller. The American people are behind President Trump. We won't put up with any action taken against him by these disingenuous deep state actors. If the Republicans in Congress want to keep their jobs, they will stay true to the American people and support the president. Otherwise, they can start packing right now. We'll no longer tolerate establishment rats anywhere in government.
Well, welcome back. Is it time to investigate the investigators? 3 Republican members of the House seem to think so. Congressman Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, and Jody Hice want former FBI Director James Comey investigated, as well as Robert Mueller, special counsel on the Russia probe. They claim Mueller applied double standards to the Trump and Obama administrations. Joining us right now, Congressman Jason Chaffetz, former chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, good to have you on the program. Welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
What do you think about this?
Well, look, you need to provide oversight of those people in the Department of Justice. But just because you're a special counsel doesn't mean you go unimpeded. There needs to be somebody looking over the shoulder of the special prosecutor as well.
Well, how come it's not done as much? I mean, look, you worked a lot on the IRS targeting scandal. That was an important case for you. John Koskinen, who runs the IRS, still is running the IRS. There was no accountability after he targeted conservatives. Did that just fall flat?
No, look, I think there is an inherent problem here in that when Congress wants to issue a subpoena, guess where they have to go to get that subpoena? The Department of Justice. That's where they actually do the enforcement. There should be a mechanism where actually Congress can work with the judicial branch and expedite their way to bring these people if they don't comply with the subpoena. And it happened in the IRS. It happened in the Hillary Clinton email investigation. This deep state gets to hold these cards real close, and that makes Congress pretty much a wimp.
Well, look, I mean, the American people would like to see justice served. So let's go back to the Clinton email scandal. I mean, we know that Loretta Lynch said to Jim Comey, call it a matter, not an investigation. In other words, lie to the American people.
Yeah, well, that's why I do have hope in the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. He has nearly 500 investigators there at the Department of Justice as the Inspector General. He does have the ability to go in and get documents and do interviews. He's doing it very quietly, and I expect that report to be in probably the first quarter of 2018. But also, I do think it is appropriate that Congress overlook the shoulder of Mr. Mueller. He's got great credentials, great background. I don't know why he was put in place. That was the first mistake. There should have never been a special counsel, but now that there is, somebody needs to be a watchdog on that.
And the people that he's put in place, in fact, his team, are all Obama supporters. They gave money to the President Obama. You know, so he's handpicked an exact team that he wants, and yet we don't know where this is going. I mean, do you think that there should be some people on his team that perhaps gave money to the Republicans?
It doesn't. Think about it. If you're at home watching this, how many of you have actually given thousands of dollars to a candidate? And if you actually did that, you're probably pretty supportive of a particular candidate, and you've got a political view that you're wearing on your shirt sleeve. So, come on. There's no balance here. These people gave thousands and thousands of dollars to Hillary Clinton or to the Democratic machine, and so do you really think you're going to get a fair and honest hearing when not a single person, at least as best we can tell, gave any money to any Republicans? That doesn't sound like it's a very balanced approach.
So what should be done then, Congressman? I mean, you know, people are looking toward the Oversight Committee to actually oversee these things, and yet we see more political bias every time we turn over another rock in these agencies. So what's the answer?
Well, I believe Chairman Senator Grassley will be tenacious on that. I do believe that the House Judiciary Committee under Bob Goodlatte has actually got to get engaged. I'm not aware of them doing a single thing on any of this to this point. And then also the Oversight Committee in the House of Representatives. So there'll be time to do that, and just calling it out on television and putting some pressure over there to be open and transparent about who these investigators and prosecutors are. I think that's fair. I think that's what should happen.
How much of a distraction has this become in terms of coming up with a vote on health care, coming up with a conversation on tax reform, which of course is what the American people voted for last November? Has this slowed down the agenda in terms of getting executed?
Well, it's a distraction in the media, but fortunately I do think we can walk and chew gum too. I think Speaker Ryan, our Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, we have actually pushed through more pieces of legislation in the House at a record pace on very important things. We had great legislation signed into law on the Veterans Administration, but you're right, repealing or replacing Obamacare, which we've already done in the House, is got to be priority one, along right there with tax reform. I don't believe in this artificial deadline of July 4th. I do think going into the August recess, you'll see a lot more pressure. Members don't want to go home for 4 or 5 weeks and not have something that has actually been signed into law. I think there's a lot of pressure there.
So do you think the pressure will push them to actually come to the floor and vote?
That's what's frustrating, right? The American people want to see us vote. If it fails, it fails. You know, go back to the drawing board. But when you don't even actually vote, that's the frustration. It shouldn't be as simple as just raising your hand saying, hey, you know, I'm a no. You should get off that easy. Put it up for a vote and then see where you're really at. And if it fails, go back. Remember, it was President Clinton pushing through welfare reform. It failed several times before they actually got it right, and it was a good bipartisan bill.
As you look to change your life, stepping down from Congress, tell me what the priorities are over at the Oversight Committee right now.
Well, look, there are more than 2 million federal employees. We've got about 70 people on the Oversight Committee. And so everything from information technology and the cyber attacks that are happening there to, I still believe we need to clean up what's gone on in the Hillary Clinton email investigation and some of those, the IRS. We can't just let go of those things. There's always somebody doing something stupid in the federal government, so there's no shortage of material there, I promise you.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because a lot of our viewers tweet about the Awan brothers, the IT specialists that worked for Democratic lawmakers. One of them worked for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They were fired because they stole information from people's computers. What's going on with that investigation? Was that just stealing, theft of information, or is there a bigger story here in terms of their relationship to the Muslim Brotherhood?
We don't know, and that's why extracting documents out of the Department of Justice and maybe perhaps Homeland Security and even from the House itself is still a very difficult and long process. That is still something that is a work in motion. Sometimes these investigations will take a year plus in order to get these documents, but we have to be able to get those documents.
All right, Congressman, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Congressman Jason Chaffetz there.
So in other words, those IT workers have a year. They already fled to Pakistan, so their ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, right? So in other words, America is left because of bureaucracy to take a year. I mean, and then you wonder if we're safe? I mean, really? This is astounding. And the media, they're interested in covering Donald Trump and Russia. Donald Trump is not the enemy. Unbelievable. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.